Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens and this is English Nerd. So if you have not subscribed already, definitely do because there is some great English nerdiness on the way. I have two special announcements before I get started with today's video, and those are, number one, it is February, which means that this is the 1-year anniversary of the English Nerd channel, so I will be bringing you an additional bonus video sometime during the week in addition to the one that normally comes out on Monday. So you get 2 per week just for the month of February in honor of my YouTube birthday. Number 2 is that I am giving away a fantasy book per month, every month between now and July 2019 when my debut fantasy novel comes out, Firian Rising. I'm super excited about it. So if you're interested in qualifying, all you need to do is check out the description below or go to carly-stevens.com and sign up for my newsletter. Everybody on the newsletter will automatically be entered to win a free book a month, and even if you don't win, I'll give away, well, not give away really, but I'll have extra goodies and scenes and behind the scenes looks at my fantasy book, which is coming out very soon. Okay, on with the show. Today I wanted to talk to you about alliteration. Now, alliteration seems like one of those, yes, of course, kind of literary terms if you've been in the literary world for a while. Alliteration is basically just the repetition of a particular sound. So what comes to a lot of people's minds is the name game that you played in camp, in junior high. Hi, my name is Carly and I like, I don't know, cats. That's not really true. But you get the idea. So some people think of that, other people think of tongue twisters. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Those are all examples of alliteration, but they're not great examples of alliteration. So how can you use that repetition of a sound in order to make a work more impressive? So this video is aimed particularly at AP students or poets. So for you AP people out there, there is not just one kind of alliteration. There are actually 2 subcategories of alliteration. There is consonants, which is the repetition of a consonant sound, and there is assonance, which is the repetition of a vowel sound. You can use this device in a lot of different and surprising ways, so I want to go over a couple of those with you. I apologize if the light's a little weird. I just got home from work and it's just starting to get light, or be light when I get home from work, but the sun sometimes does weird stuff. So let's take a look at my first example of what alliteration can do when it's most impressive and how you can analyze it in a way that's truly compelling. I'm going to start with Beowulf because the Anglo-Saxons, man, they love their alliteration. The Anglo-Saxons and the medievals, they used alliteration like crazy. So one cool example that you can see is what the Beowulf poet does here. Sometimes when a great poet uses alliteration of just 2 words, what they're trying to do is connect the ideas of those 2 words in your mind. And even jingles or commercials will sometimes do this. Good authors will do this as well. They'll use alliterated terms in order to help you make a connection between 2 people or 2 ideas. So for example, if you've read Beowulf, you know that it's the story of Beowulf, who is this warrior from of the Geats, and he comes to help Hrothgar take out Grendel, the monstrous being that has been terrorizing his mead hall. When we're first introduced to Grendel at the beginning, it says this. So it's in Old English. Old English is weird and not obvious to see. But Grendel, which starts with a G, is connected to Grima, which also starts with a G. You might think, okay, well that's fine. That's cool, I guess. What's cool about it is that Grima in Old English means evil, murderous spirit. And so when we have that word starting with G, and then just across the little break there, Grendel starting with G, we immediately make that connection in our more subconscious brain between a murderous spirit and Grendel. This is a seriously cool way that you can use alliteration or talk about it. Say you're writing an AP essay. Then you can talk about not only the fact that things are alliterated, but there's meant to be a connection between this word and this word. And that can often make for a much more powerful analysis. Okay. The next and really final thing I have to say about alliteration is that it matters which sound is being repeated. So Dwight on The Office kind of puts it nicely. He says there's a reason it's called murder because R is a menacing sound. There's a reason nobody calls it muck duck. It's awesome. But he gets the idea across. You can't treat an alliterated S sound, a lot of S's, the same as you would count an alliterated C sound. So I'll give you an example of each one and I'll explain how you can analyze these sounds differently. I'm going to start with I'll start with Keats, John Keats. Bless him. He wrote his famous odes, and one of his most famous odes that he wrote when he was 23. This kid was a prodigy. He died at 26. It's so sad. If you're an English teacher, I feel like you have to go to the John Keats threshold. You reach 26, and you think, well, I'm going to outlive John Keats, and we all have a moment of silence. Anyway, I'm looking at Ode to a Nightingale, one of his best works. I won't read the whole thing because that would be very time-consuming. But if you look just at the very first lines of Ode to a Nightingale, he writes, "My heart aches, and a drowsy numbness pains my sense, as though of hemlock I had drunk." And he goes on, "My heart aches, and a drowsy numbness pains my sense, as though of hemlock I had drunk." If you look closely, there is an S sound that's repeated over and over. Aches, drowsy, pains, sense. Even though it's not necessarily at the beginning of a word, it's strewn throughout. So we have a lot of S sounds. We also have a lot of M sounds. My, numbness, etc. So when you have a lot of M's and a lot of S's, instead of a lot of hard sounds, you can get this very sleepy kind of effect, which is exactly what he's going for in Ode to a Nightingale. It matches exactly what he's trying to say. My heart aches, and a drowsy numbness pains my sense, as though of hemlock I had drunk. You can hear it in the very sound of the words. So this is really effective alliteration. It's not really in your face, it's more underlying and adding to the tone. So if you have alliterated M's and S's, you can get this drowsy, almost, sleepy, out of it feeling to your poem, which is just what Keats is trying to do. On the flip side are those hard consonants that I talked about, muck duck, right? This is Shakespeare, my boy. Specifically, Sonnet number 12. Sonnet number 12, I really like it because of the very first line. That's pretty much the only reason why I love this sonnet so much. It begins, Shakespeare, Sonnet number 12. "When I do count the clock that tells the time." And he goes on to talk about the passing of time. We're going to focus on the alliteration though. "When I do count the clock that tells the time," we have two C's, two T's, these hard consonants repeated in an obvious fashion. Now, when you have a hard sound like a C or a T noise, count the clock, tell the time, it gives a much stronger break for any meter or beat that you're trying to accomplish in a poem. And so that's exactly what he's going for here in Sonnet number 12. When I do count the clock that tells the time, he wants it to sound like a clock. Not only is he talking about clocks, he wants the poem itself to sound like a ticking clock. And he does that by cutting off each syllable with these repeated sounds. So those are just some things to mull over if you are an AP student and you want to know how to go beyond just pointing out the fact that there's alliteration there. Hey, look, there's alliteration. Cool, so what is it doing? Is it creating that sleepy tone? Is it trying to make a connection between ideas? Is it trying to heighten meter so that we can hear the horse galloping or the clock ticking or whatever it is. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, let me know by giving me a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, I'd love to answer them. Just put those down below in the comments. And I am very excited for extra video February. I hope you are too. Okay, until next time, bye.